Good morning. My name is Constantin Salamé. I welcome you to this set of 4 different workshops that we will cover on crisis management, aiming primarily at the founders of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. I've been associated with Berytech for the past 12 years as a member of the investment committee for Berytech Fund 1, Berytech Fund 2, also working with IM Capital and with the entire Berytech team recently. I would like to introduce these 4 concepts are very important in terms of helping entrepreneurs be able to manage their company through the crisis. The first one is on cash flow management. The second one will be on development a risk management framework. The third one is on aligning your stakeholders, primarily your staff and your customers, around your crisis management. And the last one is what are the foundations to help your company be investment ready and be able to access funds, being it grants, being it debt, or being it equity. So I would like to start by thanking USAID and thanking the LED project in sponsoring this series of workshops. They have been providing technical assistance through business advisors to a number of companies around Lebanon across all regions, and this is a 5-year project, and the estimated contract value is around $25 million. So my thanks to USAID and to the LED team. Now, when we want to start here, I would like to start with a quote from JFK. The quote is saying that in Chinese, crises have 2 sides. On one side, it's about risk management, it's about the danger zone, and on the other side, it's about the opportunities that you have. And I would like you throughout these 4 workshops to be able to keep in mind these 2 elements. We need to understand the crisis, we need to understand the danger zones, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we're focusing on the opportunities and be able to address them. Now, in terms of danger, the country is going through a number of different unprecedented crises. The economic crisis, where we're looking at a contraction of the GDP by more than 30%. On top of this, we have a financial crisis with the devaluation of the Lebanese pound by more than 60%. The fact that we have today defaulting in terms of our debt on it. We also have a banking crisis with a number of the banks being undercapitalized and not able to provide loans to SMEs. And add to it also, you have other dimensions of crisis like the government crisis in terms of governance, in terms of transparency, in terms of making sure that we are implementing these resources. And to top it all, it's really about the social crisis. We have more than 2 million Lebanese who are under the poverty line. We have more than 300,000 jobs that have been lost over the past several months. And at the same time, we have a number of talents leaving the country. Close to 40% of our youth are leaving the country. These are the top talents. And we have an unemployment rate of 35% with the young people. So these are a number of crisis elements that are unprecedented. Now, having said this, we also have unique opportunities to be able to take advantage of the crisis and be able to zoom in. So in terms of the next slides that we will see, so here, what is the agenda that we want to cover? What we want to do is we want to make sure that we provide with you the feedback that we have received from other founders and investors in small, medium-sized enterprises in Lebanon, share with you what are the key pain points that they are facing, and then come up and address 4 of these pain points. As I mentioned, on cash flow, on risk management, on communication management, and on investment readiness, and then wrap it up with about a number of key learning points that we have from this. So in terms of the objectives, it's really about building your skill set, your leadership skill set through the crisis, your financial management skill set, your risk management skill set that we have, and also to build up your communication management, and lastly, your investment readiness or your investment management skill set. How do we do it? This is a series of online videos. We will have also webinars that are going to be made available, and we follow it with one-on-one clinics or advisory clinics to help adapt these frameworks to your own specific environment. It's important because at the end of the day, it's to address your specific problems, and this is why we're here. The coaches are here, advisors are here in order to be able to help you take these frameworks and implement them within your organization. In terms of the challenges, we have today about 40,000 MSMEs in Lebanon. These 40,000 accounts for 50% of the jobs in the private sector and account for 97% of the companies that are registered in the country. We cannot afford for this sector to go down. It's critical because if we don't, there is about 2 million people that are depending on these 500,000 jobs. So it's critical for us to be able to help them address these challenges. So what are these challenges? It's basically, primarily, it's access to funding. How do I get money? How do I get grants? How do I get debt where today the banks are not providing the funding services? How do I get equity from business angels and from others? But also importantly is access to talents. My people are leaving. My key employees are going to other places. In Dubai, they're going to Europe, they're going to the US. How do I retain them? How do we make sure we work with them? Access to markets. How do I take my products and not only sell them in Lebanon, but export them? What sort of certification do I need? What sort of standards do I need to be able to export my products? Which country should I go to? What sort of distribution channel? These are very important questions that are fundamental for the survival of these SMEs in Lebanon. Access to technology. You need technology to differentiate your value proposition, being it in agriculture, being it in health, being it in other fields that you have. Technology is here as an enabler to come up and help you build a unique competitive advantage. Advisory services, you have hundreds of advisors, of coaches, of mentors that are available. It's important that you know about them, and it's important that you reach out to them to be able to address. And of course, what are the best practices? How can these frameworks help me? How are other companies who are successful going through the crisis adapting these frameworks? Put me in contact, so we build up these networks. And finally is about being honest about what you see. Putting the mirror in front of you, looking at this mirror, being honest about what you see in this mirror, and have the courage to be able to take the tough actions, because there will be tough actions that you need to take place. So in terms of the feedback that we had, we run these workshops about 25 times across the country in different parts of the region. We had more than 1,000 entrepreneurs coming to these workshops, and we had hundreds of one-on-one sessions following these workshops to be able to understand their specific needs and address those needs that they're facing. From them, what came up are these 4 areas. Help us on cash flow, help us on risk management, help us in terms of being ready for investments, and help us also in making sure that we are aligning all our stakeholders around the priorities that we have. So let me start with a quote. So you have here the boat. This is you. This is your company. It's a very much of a sea with big waves that you have, and you have this lighthouse. The clearer is the lighthouse that you have, the easier it is for you to be able to overcome. And our role here is to clarify what is your lighthouse. What are you trying to aim? What are you trying to achieve in 5 or 10 years down the road? And what is the way forward? And the way we look at it is, in turbulent times, crisis management is about building this foundation that starts with understanding your risks, continue with making sure that these mitigation plans are incorporated in your performance management framework, and ensuring that you have a very tight view on your cash flow projections. Now, what we're going to do is have the definition of the crisis. A crisis is a process. It's a process to help you as a leader, to help your company face the events that are coming that are unexpected. These events have a major impact on your business, and these events need to have a very short decision time to be able to address them. So what's important, these are the common areas and common elements of the crisis. What is also important is you understand that change is needed, and that you understand that you have to embrace change in order to be able to go through the crisis in as efficient and harmonious way as possible.
Very good.
We will start with our first workshop. It's on financial management and cash flow management. It's essential to understand your cash flow. As you will see in the quote, your company will live or die by the quality of your cash flow forecasting and your ability to find the best solution to address your cash flow gaps, short and medium term. What does it mean? It means that you need to be on top of your cash flow forecast over the next 3, 6, ideally 9 months that you have, or 12 months. Understand what are the gaps that you will be facing, and also understand what are the ways to be able to address these gaps. If you don't, then the crisis will hit you even stronger. So this is quite critical, and I'll show you now, we'll go through the key financial statements that we have. Now, in terms of financial statement, we have three that are critical. The first one is the balance sheet. So the balance sheet is a snapshot at your company's assets. So these assets could be your cash in the banks, these assets could be inventory, receivable, plant property and equipment. These are the assets. This is what you own. And it could have also intangibles. It could be patents, it could be other intangibles or IP that you have in the company that will be part of your asset part. On the liability side, it's all what you owe. You owe to the banks, you owe to your suppliers, or you could owe to the governments. And the difference between the two, between the assets and the liabilities, is your shareholder equity. And this is the net book value of your company. It starts small, with how much you inject, and as you make profits, this number increases. As investors would invest in terms of equity, this number would also increase. So the first one is the balance sheet. It's a snapshot at one point in time, typically at the end of the year, because you have to report it to the tax authority, you have to report it to your shareholders, but also you could have it on a 6 months basis. So this is the balance sheet, snapshot at one point in time. The income statement is over a certain period of time. Typically also it could be quarterly or it could be over the whole year. What is your income statement? It's your revenue minus the expenses that you have. What are these expenses? 4 buckets. One bucket is the cost of producing your goods. This is what we define as the cost of goods sold. The second bucket is the operating expenses, sales, general admin, other expenses that you have, rents for instance. The third bucket is the interest. In case you have debt, what are the interest expenses? And the fourth bucket is your taxes in case you're profitable and you pay taxes. And then you come from your revenue to your gross profit, to your operating profit, to your net profit. So this is the income statement. It's over a period of time. Again, you need to have it by the end of the year for the whole year, but depending on your board, you might have it on a quarterly basis. So the third is the cash flow. And this is the one that is, in my mind, the most important one. And unfortunately, it's the one that is less used, and it should be the one that you mostly use. The cash flow puts all the different sources of cash, being it cash from operation, it's cash flow from investments, and cash flow from financing. Let me take each one on its own terms. So the one I've mentioned, the balance sheet. On one side, you have the assets, cash, inventory, receivables, plant property and equipment, and goodwill. So goodwill could be a patent, goodwill could be the brand value that you're building up in your organization, or other intangible that comes in. On the liabilities, this is what you owe. You owe to the suppliers in terms of accounts payable. You owe to the banks. It could be short-term debt or it could be long-term debt. And the last one is the shareholder equity. This is what you own to your shareholders. And it starts with how much initial capital, and then the retained earnings put in whatever net profits minus the dividends are incorporated, or in case you have other investors coming in and putting equity in the company, the shareholder equity will increase. So it's very simple. Snapshot, total assets will always equal total liabilities plus shareholder equity. Shareholder equity is your net book value for the organization, and it's one of the elements that will be used in order to be able to value the accounting value of the company. So this is the balance sheet. The second one that we have is your income statement. The income statement, on one side, you have your revenue. This is the sales from your product and your services that have been invoiced to your customers. And you have your 4 buckets. What are the 4 buckets of expenses? Cost of goods sold. So if you're manufacturing, how much does it cost to manufacture? The difference between sales and cost of goods sold is your gross profit margins. Your SG&A, which stands for sales, general, and admin expenses. In other words, it's your operating expenses. The difference between sales, cost of goods sold, SG&A is a very important figure called EBIT, or operating profit. And this is important because this is used also to be able to value the company by applying a multiple to it. The third bucket is the interest expenses in case you carry debt, and the fourth one are the taxes in case you're profitable. And the difference between the two will get you to the net income. So this is your income statement, very easy to understand, very easy to apply, definitely on an annual basis, but for a number of companies that have board, we need to have those on a quarterly basis. And for a number of the owners, they run this on a monthly basis. The third one is the cash flow. Now, the cash flow statement might be a bit Chinese for a number of you, but trust me, once we go through it once and twice, you will feel much more at ease. We have 3 buckets. Cash flow from operation, which is basically your net income, plus depreciation, plus some deferred taxes that you have, minus the increase in your working capital. What is your working capital? It's your receivables, plus your inventory, minus your supplier payments. So this is your working capital. And for most Lebanese companies, the cash is in your working capital. If you increase the working capital, you suck in cash into the organization, out of your pockets. So the number one challenge for a number of the companies in Lebanon is to be able to, one, look at net income by looking at incremental revenue opportunities. So keep always this in mind, because this will be a source of cash. But most importantly is squeeze your working capital, squeeze your receivables, squeeze your inventory, delay your suppliers, and we have different methods that I'll be happy to take you with on a one-to-one basis to help you go through it. So on cash, make sure that you manage your working capital well, make sure you identify growth opportunities. These are the 2 main contributors to cash flow from operation. The second bucket is cash flow from investments. So in terms of investments here, in case you sell any equipment or property or a piece of land, cash comes in. In case you buy, cash comes out. In these moments of crisis, you need to minimize cash going out. So what you do is, instead of buying an equipment, you need to lease an equipment. In terms of you have equipment, you might even consider selling the equipment and leasing it back. So you might also look at the ways to be able to sell non-essential equipments that you have that will be helping you generate cash. So this is the time to look at your assets and to see what is core versus what is non-core, and dispose of the non-core in order to be able to secure cash, because you need to have cash buffers as we go through this difficult time. So this is the second bucket, is cash flow from investment. The third bucket is cash flow from financing. So trying to see, the banks today are extremely conservative for funding small, medium-sized enterprises. We hope that with time, they will be much more open to do it. So when you need to do, if it's not with the banks, find other sources. We have a number of business angels that are looking for investment opportunities. They're looking at ways to reduce their deposits with the banks, to reduce the haircut that might be coming, and they're interested in funding a number of small, medium-sized enterprises. So open to them. Be ready. So this is money that could come in terms of either a debt, a convertible debt, or it could be in terms of equity capital. And in this case, repayment at this, you need to postpone it, because this is with the banks you negotiate, being it interest payments or being it capital payments, all the banks will be open for you to reschedule your debt so as to delay. So what's the message behind it? 3 important buckets for cash: operations, investments, and financing. Focus on increasing the areas in blue. These are the cash coming in, and focus in reducing the areas in red. This is cash going out. And if you need help to help you put this forecast together, we'll be happy to sit down with you and take you through it and develop your first cash flow forecast. Now, what are the learnings from this first workshop? The first learning that you have here is you have to closely monitor your cash flow and cash flow forecast. You need to understand what are your gaps, what are those gaps, how big are those gaps, and you also need to work with your board to see how we could address those gaps. If you don't do it now, don't wait when it comes. Do it 3 months before, do it 6 months before, and make sure that you have contingency plan to address it. The second one is your costs, which are today fixed costs. You need to shift them to variable cost. What is variable cost? Is you align it to your revenue. If your revenue drops, your cost will drop. So this protects your margin, it protects your cash provision. You will say, Constantine, how do we do it? Simple thing. You don't pay a fixed rent, you relate your rent to your revenue as a percentage of your revenue. So instead of paying a fixed amount, it's 10% of my revenue. If my revenue drops, my rental drops. And a number of owners are open to this sort of. The other thing is to look at your staff costs, because rent and staff costs are the most important one, is to see how you could link this to, for instance, a bonus. You have a salary cut, but at the same time we have a bonus. When the company would recover, we will be in a position to compensate you for the shortfall that we have in terms of salary cuts. So keep in mind shifting your fixed costs into variable costs. The third one is define. This is the time to define what is core in terms of your asset versus what is not core. And not only for your assets. Look at your people. Look at your customers. This is quite important, and take the tough decisions. If it's non-core, maybe we should outsource it, or maybe we should stop doing it. So these decisions are, again, difficult decisions, but this is what I'm telling you about the courage to face the mirror and to take these tough calls. So this is where you have to look at it and maybe sell some piece of land, or sell some equipment that is not being used, or maybe stop in terms of a certain market segment because you are not creating value to the organization. So have a function. What is your core competency and what are the non-core, and take the related decisions on each one of them. The third one, as I've mentioned it, is the 3 C's. This is your cash conversion cycle. This is your receivables, your inventory, and your payables. So what you need to do is manage it as much as you can and reduce it, not at 60 days. And some of the companies at 1 year is to bring it down to 1 month, bringing down maximum to 2 months. And this takes a lot of discipline, and it takes also hand-holding, and we're here to help you make these calls in terms of reducing your cash conversion cycle. The fifth one is about your revenue. Don't only focus on working capital. Don't only focus on reducing operating expenses, but focus on looking on this crisis. You might have 1 or 2 elements that are unique growth opportunities, new channels, new customer segments, new product and services. What are they? Prioritize them and act on them. You need to look at revenue opportunities that you have not thought and that came to you because of the crisis. The other element here is that I mentioned related to is focus on what you do best. So identify where are you making money in terms of the customers. Some customers you are making more money with others. Identify in your product and solution, where are your profit pools. Profit pools means are the customers or the product or the channels of distribution where you're more effective in generating cash, you're more effective in generating profit. So understand what are those, and then take a decision, what are the ones that we're going to invest more in, and what are the ones that we might divest from. So the profit pools identification are critical also, understanding where they are and understanding what sort of actions we need to take place. The last 2 here is about optimizing your invoicing, your credit assessment, and your collection. The more it is automated, the better it will be. The turnaround cycle terms will be much shorter, and this will help your cash flow position. And the last one is get yourself a financial advisor. If you don't have it in your team, if you don't have it, and you have a number of these advisors that are willing to work on a benevolent basis with you to help you understand the different financial statement and to help you understand the best practices in cash flow management. Thank you. This is the close of the first workshop.